Hi everybody, welcome to Line of the Week number 141, Motive Development Using Melodic Rhythms. This week I took a rhythm, added notes to it, and then developed it while improvising over tunes. This week's example shows how you can develop a motive by just repeating a simple rhythm while changing the notes to fit the harmony. This is called melodic transformation, also known as variation. Before I get to the line of the week, and so we're all on the same page, here are the chords to the progression. The chords are C major 7 to C sharp diminished to D minor 7 to D sharp diminished to E minor 7 to E flat major 7 to D minor 7 to D flat 7. Here are the chord scales I use. I use the notes from the chord scale for two things: as a source of notes for improvising, and secondly to determine tensions to use for comping. The chord scales I'm using are G pentatonic to C sharp whole half to C major to D sharp whole half to G pentatonic to B flat major to C major to A flat melodic minor. Here's the melodic rhythm I'm using this week. This motif is from Jerry Bergonzi's book, Volume 4, Melodic Rhythms Used with Permission. Here's the line of the week with Guitar Pro backing I use to make sure I'm getting the notes and the rhythm accurate. Let me say a few things about the line of the week. In measure 1, you've got the original motif, meaning the melodic rhythm using notes from the chord scale. In measure 2, you've got a variation, meaning same rhythm, different notes to fit the harmony. In measure 3, you have another variation. In measure 4, you've got a rest. In measure 5, you've got another variation. Measure 6, variation. Measure 7, variation. Measure 8, variation. Also note the points of resolution of tension by half step. At the point of chord change, it's important to resolve non-harmonic tones, meaning avoid notes or disagreeable notes, by half step to an agreeable note. You can resolve tension either directly, meaning immediately, or indirectly within a beat and a half. In other words, at the point of chord change, you only leap from a note if it's agreeable, also known as harmonic, to both the chord of the moment and the next chord. Otherwise, you need to resolve the note preferably by half step. In this line of the week, we resolve tension at the point of chord change in 5 places circled in red. At the end of measure 1, going into measure 2, you have note B under C major 7, and it resolves by half step to A sharp under C sharp diminished. At the end of measure 2, going into measure 3, you've got note A sharp under the C sharp diminished chord, resolving by half step to note A under D minor 7. At the end of measure 5, going into measure 6, note E under E minor 7 resolves by half step into note F under E flat major 7. At the end of measure 6, going into measure 7, note E flat under E flat major 7 resolves by half step into note E under D minor 7. At the end of measure 7, going into measure 8, note D under D minor 7 resolves by half step into E flat under D flat 7. Finally, the D natural under D flat 7 at the very end of measure 8 is an anticipation note. Since the D natural note is played at the very last 8th note of measure 8, your pitch memory is going to hear it against the C major 7 that's coming up in the next measure, because I'm assuming that the next chord is going to be a C major 7 chord. The D natural note is an agreeable note to the upcoming C major 7 chord, in other words. So that's all for this week. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week.